Shalom, shalom, man. Shabbat, shalom. Peace and blessings. Peace be unto you on this Sabbath day of rest, this rest day. We're the hopeful elect, man, coming to give y'all hopefully another edifying video. We got tons of them. So hopefully we can keep adding and doing the work of the Lord, man. We're your brothers, uh, Azrael, your brother Isaiah, your brother Obadiah, your brother Denal should be on his way. Nonetheless, we're going to get today started with this Sabbath day. So if you're just waking up, go ahead and get the crust out your eyes, and, be edified, Lord willing. Lord willing, the Lord uses my tongue to edify. Today, we're going to talk about 4 things for a man of God. 4 things for a man of God. This is some wisdom found in the wisdom of Solomon. Right? If you don't know who Solomon is, man, for the newcomer that might see this video, Solomon is King David's son. And he asked God for wisdom, and God gave him all the wisdom of the earth. Right? And so it's good to read some of the books that Solomon has written, like Wisdom of Solomon, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Songs of Solomon. It's good to read some of these or all of these because he's giving you the wisdom that God gave him, right? And so we can learn a lot from that. So in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 7, where we're going to go first, he tells us 4 things that a man should have within himself, right? To be counted righteous, to be counted a man of God. So we're going to get into that, man. So before I pull up this precept, I want to say all glory and honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's the bloodline, who sent his son as an instrument of salvation for the nation. Because we know the Most High God is the Savior, but he sends instruments to do that on this earth, to play it out. And his son is the ultimate instrument of salvation for us. And that nation is Israel. Shalom to the cleavers. Shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Shalom to the commandment keepers, man. And shalom to the brother Baruch in the chat. Forgot to say that brother's name, right? The brother Baruch in the chat. Going to be our mighty scribe today, right? Should be a good one. No video, just straight precepts, straight scriptures, right? Let's get into it. Let me share my screen real quick. The first scripture that we got, Wisdom of Solomon, 8 and 7. I think it's on you.
This is the Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse number 7, and it reads, "And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues, for she teacheth temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life."
Right. And so the she in this is talking about wisdom, right? If you read the context of the chapter, it's going to say she and her, and it's going to say that interchangeably because it's talking about wisdom. That's the context of the chapter. But it says, if a man love righteousness, wisdom, labors are virtues, right? So it's going to give you some virtuous labors that a man should have. For she teacheth temperance, right? We're going to go over what temperance means. She teaches also prudence. We're going to go over what prudence means. She's going to teach justice. We're going to go over what justice means. And fortitude. We're going to go over what fortitude means, right? And the conclusion of all this is that if you do all these things, a man should have nothing more profitable in his life. So if you do all these things, it's going to be profitable to your life. What is that? Temperance, prudence, justice, and fortitude, right? So let's get into it, man. Let me get the definition. Let me get the definition of each, and then we'll get the scripture, and then the definition of the next one, and we go like that. So like, yeah. So let's go to Google, not Bing, but Google, and let's type in temperance. First on the chopping block is temperance. Let's get the definition of temperance. Want a more broad definition than that.
You might gotta go to Google, King.
I am on Google.
You on Bing?
Well, I thought I was. I thought I typed in Google.
It be doing that. It be doing that to me too.
You gotta type in Google and then actually click on the Google that pops up.
This pops up though.
That's Bing. Oh. Scroll down.
Oh, gotcha. My page ain't open all the way. All right, let's try this again. Right. Let's get this definition from artificial intelligence.
This is temperance. Temperance is a virtue of moderation and self-restraint, especially in indulging appetites and passions.
Right. So it's self-control. Right. Temperance is self-control. So the first on the chopping block is temperance, man. Every man needs temperance. Every man needs self-control. If you don't got self-control, you end up hitting your wife. You don't got self-control, you end up leaving your kids. If you don't have self-control, you'll end up, I don't know, cheating on your wife. You don't have self-control, you'll end up in addiction. So every man,
End up fighting.
you end up fighting people for no reason, right? If you're gonna be given over just to your flesh, you're gonna be unruly, you're gonna be a wild dog, a wild animal, because you don't have self-control. You got to have self-control, man. When you become a man, when you're a little kid, you learning how to get self-control. You may throw tantrums, you may scream, you may cry, you may hit, you may make a mess, right? You may not listen. That's because you're a kid. You're a child, you're a little boy. So you don't have temperance. You don't know how to control your temper, right? But now that you're a man, you're supposed to have temperance. You're supposed to have self-control. What is self-control? Um, um, uh, what does self-control? What's the word? Contain within itself moderation. You gotta be able to say, nah, I've had enough. Nah, I'm good on it this time. You got to be able to see when enough is enough, right? You got to be able to be in moderation. That's in everything. When you talking about watching sports, when you talk about eating, when you talk about drinking, when you talk about this is a hard one. When you talk about um, being intimate, right? Everything's got to be in moderation. You can't be overtaken by everything, right? Uh, the brother Denal put us on a movie. I won't encourage y'all to watch it, but he put us on a movie on Netflix, and pretty much it's this boot camp, and pretty much it's this I don't know if he's Cuban or Puerto Rican or what he is, but he's so in love with his wife, right? You gotta look. Hey, this sound weird, but you gotta love your wife in moderation. You can't let your wife overcome you, and you can't go up. You can't go out of your wits for a woman, whether that's your wife or not, right? Protect her, love her for sure, right? Be intimate with her for sure, but don't make that every day's mission, right? Self-restraint, man. You got to know how to pull back. You got to know when to stop talking sometimes. You got to know when to listen sometimes. You got to know when to talk. You got to know when to give advice and counsel. You got to know when to work out. You got to know when to not eat something. You got to know when to not give in to wickedness and watch something evil. I don't, I don't need to watch that. It's not benefiting my life. You got to know when to have self-restraint. You got to know uh, when to when to protect and when not to protect. You got to know when something is your business and when something's not your business, and you need to stay out of it. Sometimes you got to turn the other cheek. I know that sounds weak, but sometimes you have to have self-restraint. If you weigh out the situation, this person could have a gun. I don't got no gun on me that I could whip this person. He's shooting me, or this person I could. You never know in today's world. You got to have self-restraint.
Yeah.
Also, even in eating, man, we living in times where we don't know what the economy is going to do. We don't know what the government going to do. You got to train yourself now. Have some self-restraint now, and you're eating. Practice fasting. Practice eating healthy. Practice not eating so much. That's self-restraint. Every man need these things, right? Now, I done said a lot. I done said a lot about this first one, man. I think y'all get the memo. So let me get the next precept for temperance, right? The next precept for temperance. Temperance, i.e., self-control, right?
Galatians.
Hold up, let me go back. to verse 22 for context, right? Galatians 5:22. If the brother could.
Galatians 5:22. But the
Come
fruits
on.
of you said what, King?
Nothing, bro. Nothing, bro. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro.
But the fruits of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith.
Hey, so we talking about the fruits of the spirit, man. Everybody love the fruits of the spirit, right? You teach the fruits of the spirit to your kids, talk about it with your wife, talk about it with the sisters, the brothers talk about it with the brothers. Fruits of the spirit, everybody love the fruits of the spirit. The fruits of the spirit is something that uh, people in Christianity and Israelites can agree on. I think everybody can agree on the fruits of the spirit. We all need the fruits of the spirit, right? Now, the fruits of the spirit also mention what? Temperance. Let's get it. Verse 23.
Verse 23, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
Right. Temperance is the last fruit of the spirit. They say they say the best for last. The best for last. Right? Why? In my opinion, I speak as a man, but all of these things listed deal in temperance. Temperance is a good conclusion. You want to be meek. Sometimes to be meek, you got to have some self-control. I really want to spaz out right now. Really want to crash out right now. But I'm gonna be meek. For a good example of meekness, not trying to boast in myself, but I read a precept and it said when the poor or needy has their hand, I'm paraphrasing. I'm roughly paraphrasing. It's in Sirach though. When the poor or needy has their hand out, respond to them in meekness, right? The last time we went to Atlanta for camp, it was a brother on the street corner and we stopped at a red light. You know, they get you at that red light.
Yeah.
Some brothers, some brothers and sisters. Well, I advise you, sisters, don't roll your window down, right? That's just for safety. But brothers, roll your window down, brother, because it's commanded for us not to turn a blind eye to the homeless and the needy. So, I roll my window down. The brother asked me, "You got some change?" He was nice about it. "You got some change, brother?" I just need some change. He didn't, so I had to do some probing. He didn't say too much. He said, "I just need some change." So I said, "What you need change for, though? Do you know the Lord?" "Yeah, I know the Lord." I said, "Tell me something about the Lord." The brother went to thinking. Keep in mind, the light done turned green now, so I'm holding up traffic. The brother said he went to thinking. I said, "You don't know nothing about the Lord, man?" "Oh, I know I'm a child of God." I said, "Nah, what about the Lord, though? I ain't trying to hear about you. What about the Lord?" He couldn't tell me now. I said, "You can't tell me nothing about the Lord, man. Let me ask you this. What you gonna use this money for?" "I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Maybe get me a beer, and some smokes, maybe some food." I said, "See, I can't even give it to you, brother. You gonna get some smokes with it?" I said, "I appreciate you being honest, man, but I can't give it to you, man. I gotta give it to somebody that fear the Lord." That's what God tell me. He smiled, I smiled, said, "Have a good one." He told me, "Be blessed." But that's responding in meekness. Some brothers they would have told him, going all, they would have spazzed out on the brother. But you got to respond in meekness. But that takes what? Temperance. That's what I was getting at. It takes temperance. You got to be able to control your temper and the way that you think in certain situations on the fly, right? When we go through all of these fruits of the spirit, right? Love, that's a part of temperance. Joy, it's a part of temperance. Sometimes we got to make ourselves joyful in these feast days because so much is going on in life. We got to remember, hey, this is supposed to be joy and gladness. So temperance, man, you got to regulate temperance. Peace, right? Sometimes you got to have self-control and self-restraint, not to go certain places, not to listen to certain things, not to watch certain stuff, so that you can keep peace in your life, right? Not to talk to certain people, right? To keep peace in your life. Long suffering. Now that takes temperance. Long suffering takes temperance. Gentleness, that takes a lot of temperance. Goodness and faith, they all take temperance. So that's why I speak as a man, but I think they say the Most High God, when he sent this word through this man, he sent temperance last because it was a conclusion of all the fruits of the spirit. Let's get the next precept. The next precept that's on is 2 Peter 1 and 6. 2 Peter 1 and 6. All right, the brother can read
This is the
this.
book of Second Peter, chapter 1, and verse number 6. And it reads, and to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness.
Right. So I did a video a while back, man. I did a video a while back on this chapter, and I pretty much was saying that all of these were paired up together because the pairs are synonymous with each other. If we go back to the, let's start at verse 4 real quick.
Second Peter 1 and 4. And it says, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these ye might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust.
Right. So this list that he's about to give you, the Bible's full of encouraging lists for self-development. Right. So this list, so we started off Wisdom of Solomon 8. That was for a man to be profitable in life. This list right here is to beat lust, the lust of the world. So if you do all these things, you'll beat the lust of the world. If you do all the things in Wisdom of Solomon 8, you'll be profitable. Right. This is why it's important to know the word of God, man, so you can succeed in life. Right. Let's read verse 5.
Verse number 5. And it reads, and beside this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to virtue knowledge.
Right. So I believe that faith and virtue are synonymous. And I believe that virtue and knowledge are synonymous. Right. Keep reading.
Con, Second Peter chapter 1 and verse 6. And to knowledge temperance, and to temperance patience, and to patience godliness.
Right. And I believe that temperance and patience, right, are synonymous. Temperance and patience are synonymous because patience is self-control. I don't know anybody that would disagree that having patience is not self-control. So is self-control. So patience, right? When we think about patience and everything, patience is something that amongst each other we talk about. When you ask God for patience, that's a prayer that you got to be ready for, because the Most High God will build your patience for the future, but it's going to hurt sometimes to build your patience. He might put you in a fiery trial. He may cause you to be without job, be without family, be without kids. He may cause you to do a lot when you ask for patience. So that's a prayer that, if you're a beginner, I advise you not to pray that prayer right off the bat. If you're a novice, if you're new to this truth, if you're new to this walk, I encourage you to ask for more faith. Build yourself up before you ask for faith. But nonetheless, we all need patience. So if you ask for it, it's good too. Just know that your life might shake up, right? But patience, man, it's a big part of a man to have patience. When the house is in chaos, a man got to have patience. He got to see it through, right? When you want that quick money and you see all your friends getting that quick money, that man, he got to be patient. He got to stay down, right? I was watching a documentary, and it was like the worst hoods in Houston, Texas. And the brother said, I learned that. Let me see if I can find that video real quick, man. Let me see if I can find that video real quick, because I remember the quote that he said, but I don't remember the quote. And I think a lot of people know the quote, but for sake of time, for sake of getting it right, I want to just get the video, man. Most dangerous hoods in Houston. Yeah, here we go, right here. And fair use.
It's not. Can't hear it.
I know I got it muted.
Oh,
They be talking kind of raunchy, so I'm trying to go straight to the part to where I'm trying to go to. Here it go. This brother got some sense. He don't really cuss. Can y'all hear that?
Brother got tassels on, don't he?
Can y'all hear that though?
no.
No.
I'm gonna have to share it on share. I'm gonna have to pull it up on this other tab. Hold on. Nah, them ain't tassel them shoestrings.
I would say, brother keeping commandments.
No, he not. He not keeping the commandment. You know, he getting there though by what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? He getting there. All right, the first question he gonna ask is, how would you describe your childhood?
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. Houston, Texas.
Fair use, man. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Y'all let me know. I can't see y'all faces, so verbally let me know if y'all can hear it.
Describe your childhood.
Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, I was an athlete. I played football. And really, I played everything, but my main sport was football. Just say I was the most popular in the school, but I'm definitely wasn't no lame at that hoe. I'm playing football. I'm smart, you know what I'm saying? So that was cool. When I was about 17, that's when I started hustling for real, my damn self.
What made you man that?
So I want to keep in mind here, you're a little kid, you're gonna see all your friends hustling, you a teenager, you're not really a man yet, right? You see all your friends hustling. So what you want to do? You want to hustle too. Because they get in the new iPhone, they get in the new J's, the purple label pants, they get in the new cars, right? You want to do all that stuff too. So what you do, you start hustling, you start making money in haste, right? You start making money in haste. I want to get that precept, but my setup right now is not gonna allow me to. But the Bible talks about not making money in haste, because you gotta have patience in this life, man. He's gonna get to that in a second. But yeah, I just want y'all to know that, man. For example, when PPP loans was going out and everybody was scamming, right? When you got that young mind, you thinking, man, it's a lick. The government not gonna catch me. And what you doing? You giving up your social security number to get that PPP loan, man. So you can get that money in haste. So you can get that new apartment, you get that new car, so you can take the picture with the money spread, right? Because you don't have no patience, right? Patience is a perfect work though. It's a hard work for patience.
I got that scripture though. Is it in Proverbs?
Yeah.
Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 20 through 22. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent.
Come on, man. If you make haste to be rich, it's gonna always fail you. You're not gonna be innocent. You're gonna get arrested. You're gonna get caught scamming. You're gonna get killed, right? But a faithful man, man, he's gonna have blessings. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you can't never escape the Lord, because I done seen plenty of stories where like a person was caught scamming, doing stuff like that, but they was caught like 5 years later, or they was caught like 10 years later. So they thought they done been getting away with it, making this quick money. Then all of a sudden, 5 years later, come they knocking on their door and saying they caught. We know it's you scamming. So it's like you gonna get caught regardless if it happens right now or if it happens 15 years down the line. If you did something, doing something that's against God, it's gonna come up.
Come on, man. And I also heard another quote too, man. A lot of us, we ain't broke. We just don't know how to we just spend our money too much. So even if you get in $300 a week, man, you still getting a consistent money, but it's because you want to live a certain life is why you're broke, right? If we downgrade our life to our means, we won't be broke. But a lot of times, things get in the way. Now there's other factors in that too, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna go back to this video, but that was a mighty point too by brother Obadiah.
Choice to start hustling?
Shit, the want to have some money on my own. You feel me? Like, man, that literally that right there.
Did you ever think about, I guess, just getting a job?
Yeah. And so what it is about the job is it's one of those things where it's slow motion. And as a young,
Slow motion. What is slow motion? Patience.
I didn't have the wisdom that I got now of slow motion better than no motion.
Slow motion better than no motion. There go the quote right there, man. Slow motion better than no motion, right? Patience.
But I know the risk and I know the dangers because of what my mama went through. So for my mama say, she just was doing what she had to do.
Hey, and what we just read, you're not found innocent if you get money and hate. So he gonna talk about how his mom is not found innocent. She was doing what she had to do, but she didn't do it the right way.
like to feed me and my sister. And she was a single
Yeah.
mom. She was trying to give us the life that we was accustomed.
You're gonna have temptations, man. You're gonna have pressures on you. I got a wife, man. I got kids. I gotta support X, Y, and Z. I need this money in haste. Stay down, stay temperate, stay patient. Do it the right way. You'll be rewarded. A faithful man is full of blessings.
To. You know what I mean? Shit, we was never really accustomed to hearing no and things of this nature. So she was hustling. That's what she was doing.
You got to have temperance. Sometimes you got to tell your wife, no, we can't do that. Sometimes you got to tell your kids, no, you can't eat that. No, we're not eating right now. Sometimes you got to have temperance, man. And sometimes temperance is not always being the yes man and make everybody happy. Sometimes temperance is weighing in the balance when to make people mad, when to challenge people.
Shit changed when I was about 12. She caught a big case, you know what I mean? And it went from getting everything, having everything, to really nothing. Now my mama fighting for her life. She facing 25 to life. We don't
see that. So when you think everything's going good, when you think you're doing right by your family and you think you're doing right in this world, God's not mocked. God's not mocked. It'll come back to bite you. When everything's peace and safety, that's when the pride of life comes in, and that's when the destruction and the fall comes. Says mom facing he about to say we might not see her again.
know if we're gonna see her again.
Talking about.
He said we don't know if we're gonna see her again. All because and she had good intentions. It's not about your intentions sometimes, it's just about your obedience. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, it's a old saying, but a lot of times, man, the Most High, He'll give you enough rope to hang yourself with. You know what I'm saying? He'll make it seem like everything's all good. You know what I'm saying? To the point where you chilling, right? You thinking it's of God because you know judgment hasn't been carried out speedily. You know what I'm saying? And you get in your ways, and then your worlds come crashing down in the blink of an eye, and you're in a situation that you can never even have fathomed. And so a lot of times we go through life and we make decisions, we don't make the right decisions, and we keep getting let by in life. We keep getting escorted through life like we're doing the right thing, even when we know we're doing the wrong thing and other people are telling us we're doing the wrong thing. Because we keep getting escorted through life, we think it's good. But again, that cliche saying of sometimes he'll give you enough rope to hang yourself with, right? Maybe that rope was too short, you know what I'm saying, to get you right then. But he'll give you that 12-foot rope and put you on a 50-foot tree, you know what I'm saying, and let that drop be worse than you could ever fathom before you hang yourself. If that makes sense. You got ears to hear.
Man, because evil, Ecclesiastes 8:11, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, because you know what? God is patient. We talk about temperance and patience. God is temperate and God is patient. Because he's patient with your judgment, that don't mean that he ain't see it. It says, therefore, the hearts of the Son of Man is fully set in them to do evil. They're going to keep doing it because they don't see the repercussions of it. Verse 12 says, and though a sinner do evil 100 times, you could think you're doing right by your family, God still sees you as a sinner. That's why it's important as a man to get these 4 things down so that you're found profitable, right? Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, you've been making it. You've been making it. Right? You done got the penthouse suite. You done got the car that your wife want. Your kids is in travel sports, but you know what you did to get that money. You know how you got that money. And haste. His days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him, right? So we got to be temperate, man. We got to be temperate, right? And show temperance, right?
Can I get a precept real quick?
Con, what's that?
Trying to make sure it's the right verse here.
You had something to say, Obadiah, while he's finding it?
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, even in this truth, bruh, even in this truth, you gotta be patient. You have a lot of people in this truth. Money start getting tight. Well, let me start charging for the word. Let me start, making people pay for the word. Let me make 8 or 9 or 10 YouTube channels, to get more money, get money on all of these channels, to get more money. And it's like, you ain't being patient, you ain't staying down. You're deceiving yourself and making it sound like, well, I'm doing it for the Lord, I'm doing it for the Lord, but really you just trying to get money. You should never charge for the
Yeah.
word. You should never
You
click
tryna-
on somebody's video and it says members only. You got to be part of their
Right.
membership to watch the video. That's mad.
Teach.
Right.
Hey, and really, man, all it is a man who seems like some of us, we have good intentions, but what it is we're trying to upgrade our life in this captivity. That's all it is. We trying to live in a certain level of comfort in this captivity. We don't want to have to work for the white man and preach against the white man. We want to preach against the white man and not work for the white man, right? That's what's going on, man. We hate our oppression so much that we're trying to make our lives comfortable. Nah, we got to take this butt whipping. We got to be patient in times of temptation and adversity. We're gonna get into that later in this video too, right?
Come
Go
on,
ahead.
man. The precept I wanted was Romans 9 and 17.
Brothers want that gold YouTube plaque sent through the mail.
Right,
Silver
man.
YouTube plaque.
And this is sidebar. This is folly, though. Brothers will have, a title, man, that almost seems blasphemous, and then underneath the video, it says members only. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, you gonna have a almost blasphemous title, and you can't even have, but you'll get mad at people for saying that y'all are wicked, but we can't even hear the matter out because you got it members only. And then you put the blame on us, talking about something, well, if you would buy a subscription, you would see. That's crazy. That's a sidebar, you know what I'm saying? But that's just crazy, man. This is Romans 9 and 17, right? It says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. I want to point out a few things in this, man. If you know the story of old Pharaoh that would not let the Most High's people go, you know that for him to get to the glorious state that he had, that took patience. But the patience wasn't on him. The patience was on the Lord, building him up when the Lord didn't really necessarily want him to be built up, but he did it for his glory. Not only that, right? It took patience for Moses and the people to be even liberated. He said that he was going to harden Pharaoh's heart. And he knew he was sending Moses to Pharaoh each time, knowing Pharaoh was going to say no, right? And every time Pharaoh said no, he felt a little pompous, a little confident, right? Because he's sitting in his throne, he's looking out to his wonderful kingdom, right? And he thinks that he has the power to say yes and no, not knowing that the Most High is hardening his heart for destruction, right? So the Most High's glory can get dispersed throughout the kingdom. My message to you with this precept is, pray that the Lord doesn't harden your heart. What's your heart? Your mind. Pray that he doesn't make you hard-headed into making the wrong decisions for your life. Because when he does, I'm sure Pharaoh didn't understand and he didn't know that his heart was being hardened, right? Sometimes we can get caught in a delusion, and it's kind of sent from the Most High in order to humble us, right? So you want to pray, one, for repentance, and two, you want to pray that he doesn't send you that strong delusion that makes you take yourself out, right? Just like Pharaoh, but kind.
Man. It goes on both sides of the fence, man. Both sides of the fence. You got to look at every situation in the Bible from both sides of the fence. Don't just look at it from Moses' lens, look at it from Pharaoh's lens as well. God is always teaching us something. That's how deep this Bible is. You can never read this Bible enough, right? The word of God enough, right? Let's get this next precept right here.
It's 1 Corinthians 9:25. It says, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain corruptible crown. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we are incorruptible.
But we incorruptible, right? So the people in the world, they do it to, get the glory right now in the flesh. We're keeping temperance so that we can get the kingdom, right? But every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. You got to be patient when you in law school. You got to be patient when you're in med school, right? You got to be patient when you're trying to get your master's. You can't just get it like that. You got to go through the years of the program, the classes, the tests, right? You got to be patient. I know you want that money right now. I know you want that title right now. I know you want that lifestyle right now, but you got to be patient to get the mastery. So how much more the mastery of the wisdom of God? How much more the mastery of knowing you're going to get to the kingdom? You got to be patient, man. And God's going to be tempting you all the time. The moment you feel you at a high point, God will tempt you and set you back down so you can get to that high point again. And it's going to just keep going like that into the kingdom. You got to be ready to weather the storm. One thing about the Most High God, Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Jesus Christ, one thing about him, he was so temperate because why? He didn't love nothing in this world. He didn't love nothing that was corruptible. So if you gave to him, he took it. But if you didn't give to him and you took away, he didn't care because he didn't love nothing in this world. He understood. And that's the thing. If we all knew that we was going to die at a certain date, right? If we knew our death date, we wouldn't care about a lot of it. We wouldn't care about our. So when everybody thought the rapture was happening, what did everybody do? Selling their house, selling their car, selling their dog. It's because all this stuff is temporary, right? So if we get in our mind that all this stuff is temporary, we're not going to be sold out for it, right? We're going to move differently, right? Now, what was the next thing on the list, right? Wisdom of Solomon 8 and 7 again. Let's get that. The next thing on the list, right? The first thing we just covered was temperance. What's the next one?
It's on you, Brother Obadiah.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and verse 7. And if a man love righteousness, her labors are virtues. Excuse me. For she teaches temperance and prudence, justice, and fortitude, which are such things as men can have nothing more profitable in their life.
Right? So she teaches temperance and prudence, and prudence, and prudence. So prudence, man, is the next on the chopping block, prudence. And we're going to get prudence, man. Let me see if I do. Yeah, I can do that. So I can keep that up, right? We're going to get prudence. So we're going to talk about prudence. If you know me, right, you know I love talking about prudence. I feel like prudence is one of the character traits that everyone should have, that everybody should get better at. We all can get better at prudence, right? So we're going to get into the word prudence. Every man should have prudence, right? Let me go to Google and get the definition of prudence real quick. So if you have temperance, it'll make you profitable in this life and the next. And if you have prudence, it'll make you profitable in this life and the next, right? If Obadiah, you could read this real quick. I know you just read that last precept.
All right, prudence, the quality of being prudent, cautiousness.
Right, so we got to be cautious. We got to be cautious, man. We got to, and this kind of goes with temperance, right? So we got to be able to be not hasty. My wife is always telling me to stop being hasty, right? We got to be cautious, right? We got to count the cost. That's a part of being prudent, counting the cost, right? You got to, stop, a lot of times people are, before you even get your paycheck, right? You're already thinking about the bills that you got to pay.
Yeah.
So you don't overspend, right? You got to be cautious, man. You got to count the cost of everything that you do in life, whether that's something physical, whether it's monetary, or whether it's something um spiritual, right? But prudence is the quality of being prudent, right? Let's see what prudent is. If you could read this.
You want me to read? Oh, prudence, acting with or showing care and thought for the future.
Right? You gotta think ahead. That's all it's saying, man. Is think ahead. Right? If somebody does something stupid, what does everybody usually say to that person? What were you thinking? Because thinking, right, is the intent of thinking is to think ahead. It's to think before you do something. It's to think before you answer. Think before you respond. Right? When you're thinking during a test, you're thinking before you give an answer. Right? So thinking is being prudent. Prudent is having care or thought for the future. Some people live life carefree. Man, yeah. So you mentioned, bro, don't you know if you do that, this can happen? Nah, I didn't think of that, man. I just be doing whatever, man. I just YOLO, man. You only live once. You thinking too much. Once again, that word thinking. You thinking too much. Be like, bro, you didn't think that this would happen if you did this? Nah, I really didn't, because they didn't have no care for the future. A man has to have care for his future. He wants to live all the days that were granted by God. He don't want none of his days to be cut short, right? As I think David said, or Hezekiah said, he don't want none of his days to be cut short. He wants all the days that was allotted to him. He wants all the inheritance that was allotted to him so he could pass it down to his kids. A man has care for his future. He doesn't always just think in the right now. A man is always planning and having plan B's, plan A's, plans. I was giving some counsel to a brother at the gym, and he said, "Man, I remember when you was trying to be a chiropractor back in the day." I said, "Yeah, and nowhere near that now." He said, "Yeah, I remember, man. You gave me some encouragement because you had a plan to get to Life University and do X, Y, and Z." Say, "Yeah, man," and I told him straight up. I said, "But that's just part of being a man. You got to have a plan. When somebody come to you and ask you what your plan is, you as a man, you have to have a plan. It's point blank period. You got to have care for the future. If you don't have care for the future, you don't have a plan. And if you don't have care for the future, nobody can really trust you as being a man. Nobody's going to see you as a man if you don't have a plan for the future." And I know sometimes it's hard to sit down and deal with ourselves. We can sit down with other brothers, man, but dealing with ourselves as men, it's hard to sit down with ourselves and be like, what do I got to do to put me and my family in a better situation? You might not even have a wife or kids, but you might have parents that you want to put in a better situation, right? You might have a dog you want to have a better situation. I don't know, but a man should have a plan, right? That's bars. No motion is slow motion for temperance, and a man should have a plan for prudence. Hey, them bars, right? And them slogans that we should live by as men. We should have care for the future. So let's get this first precept, man. Proverbs 13 and 16.
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 16. And it reads, every prudent man dealeth with knowledge, but a fool layeth open his folly.
Right? Every prudent man cares for the future, man. He deals with knowledge. He studies so that he knows where he's going. He studies so he knows what move to make next. That's knowledge. But a fool layeth open his folly. A fool, man, he don't have care for the future. A fool, man, he just gonna do whatever any given day. He that friend that you got that just be into random stuff, got you in random places, spending random money. That's that fool, man. He's gonna be open to his folly. Right? Let's get Proverbs 15 and 5. The book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 5.
Proverbs 15 and 5, it says, a fool despises his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent.
Right, man. A fool despises his father's instruction. We talk about earthly father and heavenly father, but really heavenly father, right? Because we're talking about the word of God. You despise the things, a brother coming to you and giving you counsel out of the Bible and you despise it. I don't like the way he said that. You despising the father, you're not despising him. And even your earthly father, if you despise your earthly father, man, that's you count it as a fool, because Your father wants nothing but the best for you, and your heavenly father wants nothing but the best for you, right? And they have seen more, both of them, the heavenly father, he created life, but the heavenly father and your earthly father, they've seen more life than you. So they're trying to give you instruction, right? You got to listen to the instruction. I was just telling my wife the other day, if I were to, I don't know, listen to my parents a little bit more when I was younger, I would be in a further position in life. And when I say my parents, I mean both my parents, but I really mean my father. Because, sometimes my father, he was very temperate and patient. So he didn't force his ideologies or his thoughts on me. So he allowed us to make our own decisions, right? And our decisions didn't end us up in a bad situation, all praise to the Most High, but we could have been in a better situation if we took heed to our Father's instructions, right? It says, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent, right? There's some brothers that are still little boys because every time you reprove them, right, they don't regard it. I'm not saying, and to regard something that, and to disregard or regard something, that don't mean that they're just, being ignorant, right? That don't mean that they're being rude. That don't mean that they talking bad about you when you try to reprove them. They could hear you out. They could let you speak. They could, have a good dialogue with you, but they don't ever apply it to their life, right? They do not regard reproof, right? I was just watching this one-on-one basketball game, right? And in the one-on-one basketball game, the commentators were talking to the people on the court. They was like, "Hey, the ref not gonna call that. If you want the ref to call it, you got to do this." And one of the teams adjusted. The other team, they was hard-headed. They didn't want to listen to them. So the other team started getting calls from the ref. But that's because they were reproved, right? They were prudent. They wanted to win the game in the future. But the hard-headed fools, they're not going to regard the reproof. They're going to think, he can't tell me what to do. I'm my own man. I know how to get there. Man, I'm going to prove him that I ain't got to do that. You can't have that spirit, man. You got to be prudent, man. You got to regard reproof, right? Let's get this. Proverbs 27. Man, we've been in Proverbs straight in a row. Proverbs 27 and 12. 27 and verse 12.
Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished.
Come on, man. Hey, that's one of my favorite precepts, right? That's one of my favorite precepts. Can you read it one more time?
Con, Proverbs 27 and 12. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished.
Right, man. A prudent man is gonna look to the future and see the evil. He's gonna hide himself. He's not gonna keep himself open like a fool. He's not gonna be open to his folly. A prudent man is gonna foresee the evil and hide himself. But the simple, they're gonna pass on. They're not gonna account. They're not gonna care for the future. They're gonna live every day, just day by day, and they're gonna be punished and wonder why they keep getting punished. Why? Because they're not a man. They're a little boy. They're not a man with a plan, right? A man with a plan is prudent, right? Let's get the next precept. Again, Proverbs 19 and 14, right? Remember I said at the beginning of the lesson, man, the wisdom of Solomon. Not talking about the book. I'm just talking about the wisdom that he got. So we in Proverbs back to back to back, right? No cap. Proverbs 19 and 4.
Proverbs 19 and 4. 14. House and riches are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord.
Ooh, this last precept, y'all thought I was just going for the men. Now I'm going for the women too. It says, and a prudent wife is from the Lord, right? Hey, so if you got a prudent wife, brother, she from the Lord. If she knows what you want to eat before you can even say it, she don't even ask you, right? If she got everything mapped out for y'all's road trip, right? If she got everything mapped out for the event that y'all about to host or the feast day or the holy day, right? You ain't got to tell her nothing. You could just lay back. My wife got it. If she know how to clean, right, before and after you ain't ever got to tell her. She just knows something's got to be cleaned to keep it clean in the future. If your wife know these things, your wife is proof. If your wife knows what your kid want when they cry, if your wife knows, if your wife knows, I don't know, man. Your wife, if she has care for the future, that's from the Lord, man. So also to you women, be prudent as well. A prudent wife is from the Lord. You know that you will be the best helpmeet if you master prudence, right? You'll be the best helpmeet if you master prudence, right? Now, on to the next one, right?
I think a
Let's
brother
read this.
dropped the scripture in the comment. It's a brother from New Wine. He dropped the scripture in the comments. Go along with so
it says Proverbs 1:5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. Man, going back to regarding reproof. If you're a wise man, once again, not a boy, a man, you're gonna hear reproof. You're gonna hear wise counsels, man. You're not gonna put them off.
I'll say something too, man. We talked about this not too long. Well, it was a minute ago. I forgot who all was around, but we were saying, man, you know, a lot of times what it takes is being a man is listening to other men. And what that looks like is I might not want to listen to Buddy, right? I might not think Buddy is the brightest. I might not think Buddy's ideas are better than mine, right? But if he's giving me advice on something I need advice on, it's not going to hurt me to try it out, right? And you don't even got to let him know that you trying his advice out. You can try it out, you know, unbeknownst to anybody and see if it works, right? If it don't work, now you got full reign to say, yeah, Buddy don't know what he's talking about. But if it does work, it leaves room for you to increase in knowledge, like the precept just read. And in Sirach, I believe it also says it'll leave room for you to add unto that wise saying, right? Because now you can go back, you can be like, hey, bro, appreciate you, man. I tried what you said. It helped. It worked. You know what I'm saying? But all of this has to do with what? Patience and humility, right? And prudence. It deals with prudence how? Because when you take that advice in, right, you don't even got to tell nobody you taking the advice, right? Don't nobody know it's somebody else's advice, but you're so prudent and thoughtful of the future that you want to be careful to make the right decision, that you try it anyway because it just might work. You see what I'm saying? And you don't want to take any opportunity away from off your table because you're too proud to try somebody else's advice. And that's one thing we struggle with as men is taking other men's advice, right? Especially when we feel like they're inferior to us subconsciously, or if we think that, you know, our ideas are better. Sometimes there's multiple ways to skin a cat, right? Sometimes, right, there's a faster way to skin that cat. You know what I'm saying? And who wouldn't want to find out what the faster way is? But a lot of times that comes with humility, right?
Yeah, you know, it's been plenty of times where I myself, I've got in the habit of making myself listen to the person I don't want to listen to, whether it's a video or a lesson, right? I've made myself listen to young brothers and old brothers. While everybody over there, I might take my time and listen to this old brother right here, man. Even if he might be new to the truth or walking in obedience, right? I'm gonna take my time and listen because I know God puts everything in your path for a reason. And sometimes they might say a whole bunch of stuff that you already know, but it might be that one thing you pick up, you're like, that was a gem. I would have never got this gem if I wasn't temperate and had patience, right? And so that's part of being a man too, man, is taking heed to counsels of other men, man. And sometimes if a man might be giving you counsel and it turned into you giving him counsel because what he's telling you is wrong. But he would have never got that counsel if you didn't take the time to listen to his counsel, right? It's all about being a man at the end of the day, right? So this right here is Ezekiel. What chapter is this? This is Ezekiel chapter 18. We're gonna start at verse 5, right? But
I'll say the same thing for, not to cut you off, But I'll say the same thing for women too, right? For women, a lot of times, especially when you're going through, you a new mother, you a newlywed, right? And you got older women trying to give you advice, right? A lot of times you shun them away. They don't know what they're talking about. These are different times now. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing, hey, look, a lot of these elder women, they might sound like they crazy. They might sound like they don't know what they're talking to. But you looking at a woman that done been there and done that done figured it out, that done failed, right? Got back on track and succeeded, right? And so a lot of times, man, even our women, when it goes into prudence, man, is taking care for knowledge and knowing that this older woman that has grown kids, that has a house that's paid off, that has, you know, a successful career and all of this stuff, pay attention to know, like, she didn't get there, you know, not knowing. Well, she didn't get there by not gaining experience and knowledge of how to get there. You trying to get there, right? You keep pushing these older women away, but that's what the Bible said the older women were
Yeah,
for.
you know, the Bible.
The Bible say that the older women should teach the young women how to love their husbands and take care of their house and all of this stuff. And so let them do that.
Yeah, Salakia too, man. Like we read, prudent wife is given from the Lord. So you have, for example, we was having a conversation. I'm visiting my in-laws, and my brother-in-law asked my mother-in-law, "Hey, was anybody in your ear when you was growing up?" And she said, "Yeah, somebody was in my ear, just like I'm in your ear." Because what happens is we think in the moment and we think, "Oh, they just on me so hard," but it's because somebody was on them so hard, right? And so the only way we learn is if somebody's in our corner, is in our ear all the time, is on our butt all the time, and we got to take heed to that counsel if we want to end up in a decent situation in life. You know
And
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying?
times,
So 1 second. So when it comes to women, you know what I'm saying, women are emotional. And what does being emotional do? It leads you to not put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Having care for the future and thought for the future is prudence, right? That's what we went over. Now, as a woman, you got to put yourself in somebody's shoes in the future. You got to put yourself in your own shoes in the future. Why is this lady talking to me like this? You got to put yourself in her shoes. When I get her age and I'm in the same situation, will I kind of feel the same way? I know a lot of times there's a riff-raff between in-laws and wives, and everybody's getting new titles. A mom used to be the mom and the caregiver. Now the wife is the caregiver. Now the husband done cleave to the wife and not the mom, but the mom still is the mom. And now you got to put yourselves in each other's shoes, right? You got to think, when I'm older and my son or my daughter is getting married, how will I act? Will I be possessive over my kids? You probably will as a woman. So you have to understand that from their standpoint and have patience, right? You have that patience and temperance and say they're speaking out of emotion, but it's because they just love their child.
right?
And so sometimes you got to have prudence and put yourself in people's shoes in the future so that you can deal with the situation at hand right now.
Right. And one thing I'll say too, man, don't let this go over your head. What I'm about to say is, don't let this truth, don't let knowing being an Israelite, don't let knowing this Bible as our heritage be a stumbling block to get in the way of you understanding the difference between being too I don't want to say over righteous, but don't blur the lines when it comes to somebody trying to give you advice from experience and practicality, right? Yes, I know there's certain ways that we live now that we have come to this Bible, but there's also knowledge and experience that is gained through real life situations, through the people that are, you know, trying to raise us at the end of the day. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, they might have legit advice for you and legit care for you. You don't want to shun them away or think that their advice is inadequate to your advice because you're in this truth, right? Just because you know the knowledge of God doesn't mean you know the knowledge of the work of how the world operates, how you're supposed to operate as an adult, because we're in that stage right now where we're trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And it wouldn't be smart of us to shun away the people that have figured it out just because they are quote unquote not in the truth if they actually have good advice. Our people are quick to go to heathens, right? To get advice from heathens, you know what I'm saying? Knowing that they're not in the truth. But from Jake and Eve, we're quick to shun them away just because they're not giving us advice that we want to hear, or we know that they're not in the truth, right? There's still wisdom out there in the world. Is it better than the wisdom we got? No, but it's still wisdom nonetheless. It's still wisdom nonetheless. It's not foolishness, it's wisdom. And you want to be able to gain all the wisdom you can, right? We say it all the time. Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Chew the meat, spit out the bones, right? It's the same thing for when we're dealing with people in the world. And you got to be able to do that as an adult. You got to be able to rightfully divide the word of God, and you got to be able to rightfully divide the wisdom that we get from people that are trying to pour into our lives as well, right?
Man, let me read this real quick before we get the next precept, because we're going to the next point, the next thing, right? We done covered temperance and prudence. Now what we're going to cover. It says, for she teaches temperance and prudence, justice and fortitude. Justice and fortitude. We're going to go over justice now. Get some precepts on justice. Before we do that, let's get the definition of justice, right? A man has to have justice, man. What does that mean? What does it mean to have justice, right? Let's read this real quick.
Justice, just behavior or treatment.
Right? You got to have a just behavior, right? And you have to give just treatment, right? Let's get the definition of just.
Based on or behaving according to what is morally right and fair.
Based on or behaving according to what is morally right, right? You have to be a man that does the morally right thing to do, right? A man, when he wakes up every day, he's going to do the morally right thing to do. You got to do the morally right thing, right? Sometimes you're going to look crazy and people are going to be like, bro, why didn't you just, because it wasn't morally right, bro. It was on my spirit. I was getting convicted. Sometimes you weigh it in the balance, because I do know that we're oppressed. And I do know that sometimes being oppressed conflicts with treating our brothers and sisters a certain way according to God. So sometimes it's a hard decision, but that's because that decision is given to a man. You're not a boy. Sometimes you got to make that hard decision. You may know that you may get persecuted for doing something morally right, right? But a man is going to be just. He's going to always behave morally right, right? Let's get the first precept. We're going to start at Ezekiel 18 and verse 5. We're going to go through verse 9. Ezekiel 18, 5 through 9.
But if a man be just and do that which is lawful and right.
Right? Slow down for me. If a man be just, he's going to do what is lawful and what is right. What is lawful and what is right. That's part of being just. And to know what's lawful, you got to get in your word, right? And to do what's right, you have to understand morality, right? Keep going, verse 6.
And hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel.
Right, so what's that saying, right? You haven't been in the highest positions in the world, right? A just man, he's going to be able to be down to earth, right? He's not going to be a man that was a king all his life, right? A just man, he's not going to be at the top. He's not going to be born into millions of dollars and just be at the top all his life. They make mistakes all the time. They make immoral decisions all the time. There was an interview I saw of Charleston White, if you know who Charleston White is, and he was like, once you get enough money, man, you just start, your life becomes a fantasy. You don't do the morally right thing no more, because you're not affected. You don't, for example, you don't pay your taxes when you got all the money in the world. You could just pay somebody off. You could pay a judge off. You don't tell the truth all the time, because you could just pay to cover it up. You don't you take credit for things that aren't yours, because you could just pay for it, right? So a man that eateth upon mountains as in a high place, a lot of times he's not going to be a just man, right? It says, neither hath he lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, right? You're not going to lift your eyes up to idols, whether that be a person or whether that be a an actual idol or a god. You're not going to go into these other religions, man. Keep going though.
Neither had defiled his neighbor's wife.
Right. So you're not going to look at your neighbor's wife and make comments about her and have thoughts about her and steal her from him. You're not going to do all that if you're a just man. Once again, we're talking about doing what's morally right. Even if she comes to you and is like, I really don't like my husband. I really think you're a man of God. I really think, man, you got to put that woman in her place. Right. Stop spending so much time in so many cases that we know, right? With actual people that we know, you was just you committed adultery. You were spending too much time with that brother's wife. Stop spending so much time with your brother's wife, your neighbor's wife. Keep going.
Neither have come near to a menstruous woman.
Right?
Menstruous woman.
You might have them brothers that say, man, it's not a sin, I'll just be unclean. But a just man's gonna do what's morally right. This is going into integrity. Are you doing the right thing when nobody's looking? When your wife is on her time of the month, are you gonna go into her? Because you should not. Just because everything is lawful to a man does not mean it's expedient or morally right. But that's just going. It's pulling that point to show you have to have integrity. You got to do the right thing when nobody's looking, man. You got to be accountable as a man, right?
You don't stop at red lights, Op.
Right. Moses parted the Red
terrible.
Sea, Op. Right.
Verse 7. Verse 7. And has not oppressed any.
Right. You don't oppress nobody, man. You come up, hey, pay people on time, and make sure that they're having a decent time, right? Make sure the Most High God saying, hey, look, behold, I come into the door and knock. If anyone open the door, I will come unto him and sup with him. Meaning, hey, the Most High God, his son, right? He said what? He said, I'm gonna come in and sup with you. Meaning, he's gonna come in. He bringing the food. He bringing the drinks. It's not even his house. He's not even the hostess. You got to make sure that you're doing the opposite of oppressing anyone, right? Go ahead.
Hey, like I was saying earlier, man, a lot of brothers that's supposed to be set up and be examples and leaders, they oppress the people that listen to them by charging for the word. It's like, right. Bro, you know what I'm saying? If this about the Most High, why do I have to be a member to watch this edifying video? Why are you charging me for this breakdown that I may need, but if I ain't got no money to pay for it, I ain't gonna be able to watch it.
Especially right now in the government shutdown and no SNAP, man. You think these brothers would at least have some discounts now?
Yeah,
right. And
go ahead.
We hear stories of extortion and all different type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Brothers paying for garments or camp t-shirts, church t-shirts, and they're not getting them. Brothers paying their camp dues, but still have to pay for their camp leader to go on a flight, to do whatever. Like, so the thing is this, you can't just because you have a little bit of power, that does not mean you can oppress the people that are underneath you, right? Yeah. We saw that a lot in the Christian church before we came into the truth, right? We see it a lot, man. A lot of people get into power and get titles and they oppress the people under them, right? Let's keep reading though. It says, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge. Right? You pay your debts. A man is gonna, a just man that's about justice, he's gonna pay his debts off. He's gonna pay back the people that he owes, right? He's gonna be a man of his word. He's gonna keep his vows, right? Keep going. Has spoiled none by violence. Right? You're not taking anything by wrath. You stand in a meek spirit. Keep going. Have given his bread to the hungry. Right. Sometimes you go hungry because this person needed more than you. How many times have any of us done that? I really want this sandwich. I just bought it. I really don't got no money till next week, man. I'm gonna have to eat some cereal if I give this sandwich up. But that person on the street, man, he don't know what his next meal coming. You give him that sandwich. How many of us did that? Tobit was a perfect example of that, right? Let's keep reading. And has covered the naked with a garment. Right? How many of us have covered the naked with a garment, man? I don't really wear that jacket, but I might find a fit I could put on with that though. That scarf and that I like that beanie too much, man. I can't get that up. But somebody else need it. How many of us have covered somebody with the garment that needed it? And that even comes to our own families, right? We can keep verse 7 in context of our families as men. Don't oppress your family, men. Don't oppress your family, men. Right? Do what you said you're gonna do when you made a vow to your wife. Do what you say you're gonna do. If you told your wife when you got married, hey, I'm not taking nobody else, don't take nobody else. Don't even flirt with the idea. If you told your wife you're gonna handle a certain bill, handle that bill, right? Your wife is gonna measure you as a man on how you keep your word. If you say you're gonna buy her something, go ahead and make sure you buy it, right? If you say you're gonna fix something, go ahead and fix it. She's measuring you as a man if you keep your word, right? It says, has spoiled none by violence. Don't be violent to your wife. That can go many ways. Don't be violent to your kids. It's a fine line between violence. It's a fine line between punishment, right? Don't be violent to your kids. Hath given his bread to the hungry, right? Make sure you're feeding your family. Sometimes you go hungry, so your family won't be hungry, and cover your family, right? Provide your family with the covering that you need spiritually and physically, right? Yeah, I know you want to get that food. Yeah, I know you want to get that thing for yourself, but do your kids have shoes? Do your kids have jackets? Cover your kids, cover your wife. Did your wife need a jacket? Right? Or is your wife borrowing your old jacket from high school? Get your wife her own jacket. Right? Go ahead, Denal.
No, I was gonna say, man, that goes into prudence too, man. And you know, as men, I know women slip of the tongue all the time. You know what I'm saying? Emotions may arise. They might just say what's on their mind. But as men, we can't do that. Because of this, right? We have to think to the future, and we can't say something that we're gonna regret in the future, right? We can't vow something that we know it might change in the future. For instance, if you got eyes to see and ears to hear, if you think you gonna get another one in the future, right? Don't come out your mouth and promise that to your rib. And I don't want to hear nothing about, well, king, men can change their mind. There's no law against changing your mind, bro. If we want to be men of our words, we got to start somewhere, right? And it starts in the house. You know what I'm saying? If you can't be a man of your word in the house, you're not going to be a man of your word outside the house, right? But it all goes with being a just man, right? And paying what you owe, right? You came out your mouth, you own up to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a part about being a man and not a boy, because you know, little boys, they change their mind all the time, right? They don't know no better. They act off of it, off of feeling. I feel this way today. I feel a different way the next day. As a man, you better think before that thing comes out of your mouth and before you declare something. A lot of people lose their life because they make bets dealing with money that they can't fit the bill on, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of friendships are ended because of vows not taken seriously. Because yeah, you might break a promise to a childhood friend or something like that, and they might forgive you. But when you become an adult, people take those things seriously. They judge your character on those type of things, right? Because those are the fruits of which you are building. You know what I'm saying? Then you start to be known as that man that never keeps his word, right? And you don't want your family to think that you're a man that doesn't keep your word.
Before we read the next verse, I'll give you a quick example of a man. So we went over 3 of the points so far, right? We went over temperance, prudence, and just, being a just man, justice, right? Let me give you a man that is the opposite of all those, a man that's in addiction, right? You can be addicted to drugs, and what does that look like? You don't have any temperance, you don't have no self-control, so you let yourself get addicted. And now that you're addicted, right, you're no longer prudent. You're not thinking about your health in the future. You're not thinking about your family in the future. You're not thinking about nobody but yourself. You're not thinking about anything in the future, right? And what does that cause you to do? It causes you to do immoral things, right? It causes you to steal. It causes you to lie. It causes you to not make good on your debts that you got to pay back people. Now you're getting drugs and saying you're gonna pay somebody back. You know you don't know how to pay. You're not gonna pay them back, right? So that as simple as something like addiction, it could cause you to be a man that off rip you don't have any of these characteristics. So That's why it's important to know these characteristics so that we don't fall into certain traps that this life has to offer. You have something to say, Obadiah?
Never mind. You good. You good. Can you go ahead?
Khan, let's read verse 8.
Verse 8. He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase, that hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity.
Right? So somebody that's not oppressing, somebody is not, taxing somebody, like the brother Obadiah said, right? We're not doing usury to our brothers and sisters, showing our power over them, right? Making them pay for things, right? Neither has taken any increase, right? Neither has taken any increase. That's a just man. You might be a different type of man, but are you a just man? I gotta eat though. My family gotta eat too. This is my hard work. But are you a just man? Are you gonna do it for the Lord? And are you happy for the Lord and not take any increase? Huh? That's tough for a man to do something that causes blood, sweat, and tears and not look for an increase. It's tough, but that's what a real just man does, right? You're not always looking and pointing out the things that you did because you want something in return. That goes within your family, within your work life, within your friends, within your brothers. It goes within your church, your camp, your congregation. Sometimes hard work gets overlooked, and it's okay. But you're a just man because why? It's your integrity. Go ahead, Obadiah.
I say, you come, man. You gotta think when it came to Christ. Christ was doing more work than anybody, but he wasn't looking for no handout. He wasn't looking for people to say, "Oh, you're a mighty teacher and you done healed so many people." It was to the point where he told a few people, "Don't even tell nobody what I did."
Right.
But a lot of brothers ain't gonna say that nowadays. They want you to tell people what they did.
Right.
They want their works to
Right.
be glorified.
They're gonna get on YouTube.
15 years.
Right. They're gonna get on YouTube, Clubhouse, Instagram. They're gonna tell you, hey, tell them, brother, who taught you the truth, brother. We the ones that taught you the truth first. Hey, tell them, sister, what the brothers did for you in your time of need. We paid for your rent and everything. Tell them, brothers want to be known. They want the increase. They want to be the best. They want to be the best. They want to be the top. They want to be known for their works. We're not looking to get known from our works from other men. We're looking to get known from the Most High God at the end of it all. If you're looking to get known by the Most High men and eat on the mountaintops like we read, you're not a just man. You don't have integrity. Right, let's keep reading. It says that hath withdrawn.
Okay, yeah. They have withdrawn his hand from iniquity.
Right? You've repented from your evil ways. Keep going.
Hath executed true judgment between man and man.
Right? A man
that's a big one.
Right? A man of justice, he's gonna execute true judgment.
True judgment.
Right. He's gonna keep feelings out of it. He's gonna execute true judgment, right? Between man and man. Have you ever gave true judgment? You've been too scared. Have you gave wrong judgment? Right? As a man, we have to give true judgment, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. And a lot of times, in what people would call our community, right, the Israelite community, if it's a situation where you have a person that may be high known or everybody know him, and there may be another person that people really don't know, and you got to judge between those two matters, they going at it against each other, something like that. A lot of people, they wouldn't judge it fairly because they don't want to step on the toes of the person that's known. So they'll make it seem like the other guy's he in the wrong, and they'll put it all on him instead of being fair because of the well-known person, and that's not fair.
Man, also on the flip side of the coin, dealing with personal relationships that you have, whether that be you and your homeboy, you and your wife, right? That's a big one too, right? Because executing true judgment between people, between certain situations, it can get kind of sticky when it comes to people that's near and dear to you, because our people are programmed to have a mind of, you should be on my side whether I'm right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
We family.
Right, we family. Right, whose side are you on? Right? And at the end of the day, man, the Most High, he has a standard that we must uphold, and it's not right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's not a whoop-de-doo moment. It's not, right? we got to set judgment to where judgment is supposed to be had out, no matter what the feelings are. We're not just crying aloud, sparing not on the street. We got to do that in all aspects of our life, right? No, with nothing leaving left hanging open, right? There's times where we've given a true judgment to a friend, and before we even give the judgment, he start flipping out. Here y'all go. I don't even say it, bro. I don't even want to hear it, because all you want us to say is something to back up what you're doing. But a true, a just man is gonna hand out just judgment. And the good thing about it is, yeah, it might not be something you want to hear or do, but the man that's giving you that just advice, that just judgment, right? He's trying to help you and your situation, whether you believe it or not, right? It might seem like the brother is against you, but all true judgment and just judgment does is try to better one's life and those around them, right? And so it has to be sought out. You can't cower down to appease somebody's feelings. You have to say it how it is and call a spade a spade.
Man, you gotta execute true judgment. Verse 9. Let's read verse 9.
Hath walked in my statutes and hath kept my judgments.
You in this truth. You in this truth. You walking in obedience. That's a real man, right? Keep going.
To dear truly, he is just. He shall surely live, says the Lord God.
Right, man. All these people that we try to stop on the street corner that say they don't need the word of God that's written by man, I don't believe in it. They're not real men, right? And they don't want to be a real man. They scared to be a real man, right? We got to be real men though, and we got to walk in obedience and submit, right? A real man will submit to God, right? Let's go to Proverbs 21 and verse 15. Proverbs 21 and verse 15. It's lucky. Let's read this.
Proverbs 21 and verse 15. It says, "It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity."
Right? It is joy to the just to do judgment, right? So what we just say, execute true judgment. Now I want to go here real quick. Romans chapter 1 and verse 17, right? Because I want to teach something real quick. Romans 1 and 17. Right?
This is the book of Romans chapter 1 and verse 17. And it reads, "For therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith."
Right. I want to teach where the teaching in the New Testament got this from. They got this from the Old Testament. This isn't nothing new. A lot of times you talk to people and they'll be like, man, the just live by faith, right? The just don't live by the law. The just live by faith. The Old Testament taught the law, but the New Testament teach that the just live by faith. No, the New Testament is not scripture. They're letters, and they get everything that they taught by Yahushua Christ in the Old Testament. This teaching was taught in the Old Testament, right? The just shall live by faith, right? That's nothing new. So if you're a just man, guess what? You're going to have great faith, man. You're going to have great faith if you're a just man. You're going to have great faith if you're a just man. You're not going to have small faith. You're not going to give up. You're going to always find a way through. You're going to always trust in God. You're going to always be the one to look crazy about your faith. A just man is going to live by his faith. But let's prove that, right? Let's go to Habakkuk. Habakkuk 2 and 4. Right. And this is why a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't read the Old Testament to know. And you don't look at the minor prophets. The minor prophets are the prophets you don't know. Right. Habakkuk is one of the prophets that a lot of people don't know. Right. But there's some gems in Habakkuk. Right. Like the just will live by his faith. That's where the New Testament got it from. They got it from a minor prophet. But the average person does not read the Old Testament. They don't read the actual scriptures. They just read the letters. Right. Let's go to Habakkuk 2 and 4.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith, by his faith.
Right. The just shall live by his faith. Right. That teaching was from the Old Testament. So don't let nobody tell you that was a New Testament thing, and that's a new teaching of Christ. No, that was an Old Testament thing. That the Bible has always taught, the scriptures have always taught faith and works, right? Don't let nobody try to tell you that it didn't teach about faith. The scriptures always talked about faith and works, right? Now the last one I want to read, right? The last one we're gonna go. We just read about temperance, we read about prudence, we read about justice. Now it says fortitude. Fortitude. We gotta have fortitude. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Fortitude is not, that word is not in the canonical text, right? When they translate everything to English, fortitude was not in there. But we can get the definition of fortitude, and we can get what it means. That way we can actually get some of the words that are used in the definition in the text, right? So if we could read this definition right now of fortitude.
Fortitude, it says courage in pain or adversity.
Right. You have to have courage in pain as a man. You got to be able to go through pain and have courage that you're going to see the morning light, right? The whole point of Jesus being the son of the morning, or he's the morning star, my bad. Lucifer is the son of the morning, but Jesus is the morning star. The whole point of the morning star is in the midnight, you're looking for the morning star. What's that? It's the sun. You're looking for that morning star to come up from the horizon, because that's letting you know the evils of the night are over with, right? But you got to deal in your pain in the evils of the night and have courage that the morning star is coming, right? It says courage in pain, right? Or adversity, right? We know that that word adversity is in the Bible multiple times. So that's the word we're going to use for fortitude, adversity. The first precept I want to pull up, you already guessed it. You guessed it. You was right. Sirach chapter 2.
I see what you did there.
Right, let's go to Sirach chapter 2. Let's go to verse 5.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach chapter 2 and verse number 5, and it reads, "For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity."
Right, acceptable men, profitable men, just men, temperate men, prudent men are found in the furnace of adversity. They're not found at the top of the mountaintop. They're not found in the castle. Acceptable men are found in their adversity, the things they go through, the trials, the temptations, the tribulations, right? The provocation. They're found in adversity. They have some fortitude, man. I think the root word of fortitude, I speak as a man, is fortress. You got to be a fortress, man. As a man, you got to be a fortress for yourself, for your spirit, for your family, right? For the people, for the brothers around you. You got to be a fortress, man. You got to be a fortress, man. You have to be a man of fortitude, great fortitude, and that is tried in the furnace of adversity, right? Mm-hmm. Found in the furnace of adversity, right? Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 10. This right here is a gut check, right? Let's read this. Proverbs 24 and 10.
Proverbs chapter 24 and 10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small.
I think we keep skipping over the Nal's turn, but come on, man. You just read?
No, Yeshaya just did.
Proverbs 24:10. If thou faint, I just ain't heard your voice in a minute, brother. That's all.
I missed his brother's voice.
I read
He just read the fortitude.
Proverbs 24:10. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. If you give up in your adversity, man, you ain't got no faith. You can't tell me nothing, man. I ain't listening to you when it comes to faith. I'm not trusting you when it comes to faith. If you faint in your trial, if you faint in your temptation, you faint in your adversity, what does faint look like, man? You gave up, right? You found another way. You made haste to do something else. You went back into the world, right? You resorted to your worldly habits, right? You You sinned against God. If you faint in the time of your adversity could be your family, your job. It could be brothers around you, your congregation. It could be your car. Your adversity could be anything. But guess what? If you faint in that, you ain't got no strength, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. You ain't got no strength to yourself. I don't care how big and bad you are. To me, brother, if you scamming, you ain't got no strength. You ain't no man. I don't care if you think you can beat me up. You ain't got no man. You ain't no man. I don't care how much knowledge you got. You a top scholar. I don't care. When adversity comes, you gonna fold. I can't trust you. You don't have no strength. Your strength is small, right? You gotta be a force to be reckoned with. You gotta be a fortress. You gotta have some fortitude, right? Let's go to this. And we almost done. 2 Corinthians chapter 48. It's like it. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 8.
Second Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 8, it says, we are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair.
This a man right here. When you troubled on every side, but you chilling. Everybody looking like, how can you be chilling right now, bro? You got this problem, you got that problem, you got this person against you, you got that person against you. You lost this, you lost that person. But you're not distressed. Who does remind you of? It reminds you of Christ on the ship. Everybody the storm's going, everybody's freaking out. They throwing water out the boat. You just sleeping, getting wet in the storm. You getting wet in the storm, sleeping. You're not even letting the rain disturb you, right? Guess what? That's because you a man. Sometimes being a man make you look crazy. You going out there without no umbrella because you gave your umbrella to a lady. You a man. You got, you know what I'm saying? But even spiritually, when it seems like all hell breaking loose, you got so many pressures on you. You got no distress. You ain't no distress. Nobody could tell. You acting normal. You acting normal. You showing up the stuff that you used to show up to still. You still saying the jokes that you used to joke about. You still giving counsel to people. You still giving alms when you can. You're not distressed in your time of trouble. That's a man. It says we are perplexed, but not in despair. You're vexed, man. You're perplexed. You don't know what your next move is. But you're not despaired though. Why? Because you got that morning star on your mind. You got that courage in your adversity. You got that courage in your pain, right? Let's go to verse 9. Verse 9.
It's me. It was me.
Denal.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's Brother Isaiah, but I'll read
No,
it.
it's on because you just read verse 8, didn't you?
Oh, okay.
It's verse 9.
Yeah. Salakia. 2 Corinthians 4:9, persecuted but not forsaken, cast down but not destroyed.
Even though we're persecuted or oppressed, we're not forsaken, and we know we're not forsaken. We know that God, he's never seen the righteous forsaken, cast down but not destroyed. We not on the mountaintop. We're not gonna be on the mountaintop, but we're not destroyed. What's it talking about? We're not destroyed. Our faith, our spirit is not destroyed. We're men. We're men at the end of the day. Men live a grimy life sometimes. It's not full of glitz and glamour, right?
Let's go to this. A man don't need validation from another man that he's a man.
Right.
He don't need people to tell him like, "Oh, you a man," or "You so smart, you so wise." He don't need that. You know what I'm saying? Man.
That's an identity.
That's
an identity crisis, man.
You don't even need a woman to say that.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's an identity crisis when a man is always doing stuff to make himself and make others think that he's a man. Always trying to prove to other people that he's a man, telling other men that they're not men. Oh, you don't got multiple wives? You ain't no man. I can't listen to you. Who are you? Who are you, brother? Where's your work at, brother? You're not no man to me. I don't care about you. I don't care what you got to say. That brother right there, that's, always trying to prove he can fight. Always trying to prove he got more money than you, that he doing stuff in this world. That brother right there, he not no man. He trying to prove that he a man by belittling and oppressing other people. But as we've gone through this lesson, we know that that's not a man. You don't have to do none of that to be a man. You just got to do these things we're going over to be a man, right?
Yeah, I want to
Go
point
ahead.
out too. Oh my bad. Go ahead, Obadiah.
You know, I was gonna say, man, age don't make you a man either, because I know some people feel like I'm 50 years old, I got gray hair, I'm a man. But if you got gray hair and you 50 years old and you ain't doing what the Bible say that you got to do to be a man, you still a little kid in a grown up body. But you have 15-year-olds doing what the Bible say, and they more men than you, are more of a man than you is.
I wanna twist that and say, you know, and I used to take that approach too. But sometimes I tell people like this, bro. We try to overcomplicate what a man really is when there's many definitions of what makes a man, and it's not necessarily mentality, nor is it necessarily, like the brother said, age. But when you look at science, man, a man is just a boy who grows up and matures, right? And it's more physical than it is mentality. But in mentality, right, a lot of people are still young minded. So what type of man are they? They're a man that still thinks they're a little boy. You know what I'm saying? Just like the type of men you see on the screen, we're men that don't seek validation from other men to whether or not we know that we're men or not. You know, there's two types of men in the world. Well, it's more than two types, but the two types we speaking of in this lesson is reference to the just men and the unjust men, right? And all of those are men, but they have different qualities about themselves, especially their mentality that subjugate them to the standard of being held to a child, you know? So,
Man. And you know, like the brother said, this is talking about what? A man of God. So when we say you're a man, or we talking about if you're a man or you're not a man, guess what? Or a real man, we talking about a man of God. We understand that you might think that you're a man. We may understand that you may be a man to some people, but we're telling you how God looks at you, right? When we look at Wisdom of Solomon, what does it say? It says profitable unto God. You're going to be profitable in life if you keep these things, man. So we're looking at profitable men. We're looking at men of God. And if you're not doing these things, you may be a man, like the brother Isaiah said, but you may be a weak man, a man with no strength. You may be
right.
a crazy man. You may be an unruly man. You may be an unjust man. You may be a foolish, folly man. Go ahead, brother Denal.
Childish man. And I want to add before the brother Denal go, sometimes, man, you could be that man that just forgets how a brother defends you. Because I remember just a few minutes ago, man, I was defending a brother Denal that he read, and then 2 seconds later, man, when he finally read again, he tried to blame it on me. I ain't reading, but you know, that's the type of man we are. Sometimes we're forgetful men, you know.
Hey man, I wasn't blaming on nothing. I was just, you know, somebody said I think it's Denal's turn, and I know I had just read. You know what I'm saying? Nonetheless, but what I
I
was
said
gonna say,
Salaki. Hey, a man know how to apologize now.
I said Salaki too, King. You know what I'm saying? But look, check this out. I was gonna say, man, we just in comparison to, you know, there's no comparison, right? That should be in your mind, but unto who? Christ, right? I want to point out a lot of people's idea of what a man is. You see all these podcasts, all these reels and whatnot of what a man is, and you know their justification and standard for it wouldn't necessarily even fit Christ, right? A lot of them would say Christ wasn't a real man. You know what I'm saying? Because Christ ain't have X, Y, and Z. Christ ain't do X, Y, and Z. Christ, he wasn't up in women's faces. He wasn't flat. He wasn't getting the bag, right? He wasn't.
He ain't had no wife.
You know what I'm saying? He was hanging outside, you know, with the homeless and all of that. One would say that Christ wasn't a real man. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, it's all about disassociating yourself from this world, coming out of her, and understanding what quote unquote a real man is, and it's the standards that are set within this book, right? The standards that are set from the Most High God. Because at the end of the day, man, he's our ultimate judge. When we go and see him, we're not going to be held accountable to if we're a man according to the world standards, but if a man according to his standards. But kind of you.
Man, let's read this next precept, James 1 and 2. We almost done.
James, my turn.
Nah, it's my turn.
Con.
It's James chapter 1 and verse 2. And it reads, "My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations."
Right, man. Same thing Sirach said or Ecclesiasticus said. When you in a variety of different situations that are tempting you to sin, you got to count it all joy, man, because you know how to take care for the future. You know how to be patient and have self-control. You know how to be just and do the morally right thing to do, right? So you have fortitude about yourself when you're in diverse temptations, right? Let's go to where do I want to go next? We'll end out with 2 Timothy, man. 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Right. 2 Timothy 2 and 3. It's on you now, but
Oh, my bad. 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Jesus Christ or Yahushua.
right, as a man of God, we have to endure hardness. It's not going to be an easy life. Through much tribulation, we must go through to get to the kingdom of God, right? Verse 4.
Verse 4. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier.
Right. The only time you entangle yourself with the cares of life, like August Alsina, and you get in an entanglement, the only time you do that is when you care about your flesh. You don't care about anybody else. You don't care about God. You don't care what's morally right. Right. You don't have no fortitude about yourself. Right. In adversity, you fold. Your strength is small. Right. But a man, right, he's gonna do what he has to do, right, to please the Most High God, not to please himself. Right. Let's read verse 5. Last precept of the day.
Verse 5. And if a man also strive for masteries, yet is he not crowned except he strive lawfully.
Right. So, hey, these things that we went through, right? This is how we get the masteries as being a man of God, as being a profitable man. And what is that? That is to, 1, be temperate, 2, be prudent, 3, have justice and give justice, and 4, have fortitude. So I hope that was edifying, man. It was a little lengthy of a lesson, but I think it was very edifying to who may come across this video, right? Like, share, comment, subscribe, send it to somebody you think that may need it. And, Shabbat Shalom. Hope you guys have a peaceful Sabbath. And like our big brother Christ said, if you're not gathering God's people, you're scattering God's people, right? So with that, we say Shalom.